thank you very much for coming out and volunteering your time as a volunteer anyway. But thank you for giving up part of your Saturday to come in and hear what Nick has to say. How many are greeters? I'm pretty sure I know all of you. Yeah, okay, and I'll have some, one or two slackers that will slide in here in a minute. So let me tell you a little bit, all of you know what we do here in the church. We've got an armed security team. Most of our volunteers are armed. And we train a couple times a year on what we feel like is important to let our folks know. We're not police. I'm a retired police officer. We're not police, but we are the 911 if they're not here. So we back them up all the time. We train on different things, whatever we feel like they need to be trained on, and what's happened nationally. Of course, what happened nationally this week, Charlie Kirk. Any of y'all by chance see his wife's address to the nation last night? I was half asleep. I tell you what, all I could keep from bawling, because it hurt my heart so bad. But it's like she said, you think you quieten him down, you just started something. I said, boy, you're right, honey. I'm with you. People, especially young folks, the ones across the nation will stand up now. But once again, I thank you for being here. We're going to do probably the first hour, and y'all will be taught some of the stuff that we've already been taught, but then we'll excuse y'all, and some of the armed security team will stay around, and next one teach us for another hour on some things that you wouldn't have any interest in. How many people you can shoot at one time? All that. Let me tell you about Nick. Now, some of you have seen him. Nick and his family are here at our church, and have been here for a pretty good while.
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. He does a lot back in the boat. He knows a lot of folks back there, which tickles me to death how many young people we got. That's our church back there, by the way, guys. That'll take our place. But he serves. He teaches us when we can grab him, and he also serves on our team as well. Nick's been with Pineville 25 years. He's a sergeant. He is also the commander of the South Towns Tactical Group. He's very knowledgeable on what and I don't want to embarrass him. He's already warned me about that. He's big enough to witness. I better listen to him. But he's very, very, very good at what he does, and we're blessed to have him. And he's given up his time today with his family to come in and teach us, because he loves our church. He loves the Lord first. He loves our church. He loves our volunteers. So I'm going to open us in prayer, and we'll get started, okay? Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for these folks that have given up their Saturday to come in and be trained by Nick. Lord, I pray that you'll bless Nick, Father. We love him, and I know you love him, Father. And clear our minds and our hearts. Help us to receive what he has to say and to remember it, Father. Bless him, Father. Give him the words to speak and protect him, Lord. We ask all these things in the holy name of Jesus, your Son. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I don't want y'all's expectations to be too high. A lot of what Mitch said was a lie. So no, I'm happy to be here with y'all. Unfortunately, I really wish we didn't have to even have this conversation. This is something, going back 10, 15, 20 years ago, churches just didn't have to worry about. We're here now, we do have to worry about it. Up until I think more recently, this was a conversation pretty much reserved just for the security team. I think I credit Steve and Mitch and Andrew for coming up with the idea of involving the greeters as well, because you guys are the very first people that put eyes on folks that come in. You guys know who the regulars are. You know when you spot somebody that's new. And I want to say, first and foremost, this is not about picking any certain type of individual. This is the profiling warning. So, what we're looking for and what we're going to talk about is we're looking for behaviors. We're looking for physical indicators. We're looking at physiological indicators and behaviors. Does not matter what sex, race, because I will tell you right now, women have done this. You know, it could literally be anybody. But you guys, as the ones at the door, have an important job, but also a dangerous job because, you know, if somebody does mean to do the church harm, you know, you guys are right up there. So I commend you all for, you know, I'm sorry if you've never actually thought of your position in that way. Sorry that I planted that seed now, but you guys really are the first line of defense because they don't hit the security layer until they actually enter the church. And saying that, you guys can also be the first ones to see a threat and to warn us and to be heroes. So what we're going to talk about, we're not going to get too deep into anything. If anybody decides they don't want to be here anymore, please feel free to get up and leave. None of this is bad. We're just going to talk about some things that you guys can look for, very simple things, while you're standing up there. And then we're going to talk about what you should do if you see anything. Everybody good with that? All right. So this isn't something I generally teach. So my bread and butter is more active shooter or active threat. And that's something that I'm going to cover with the security team after you guys go. So bear with me here. I kind of just had to put something together for this. So I'm going to be coming off of a few different sources here, but I'll read you guys a little intro. Often the observable indicators that an individual is hiding a gun, knife, or other weapon go undetected. Personnel who recognize these physical behaviors will have information they need to prevent a planned assault. So the first part, we're going to talk about physical behaviors and also physical signs to look for. One valuable tool is the technique of visual weapon screening, that's what you guys are essentially going to do. Now, I know that this is not something you guys are used to doing. You guys make eye contact with people, you shake hands, you greet them. I love it. My kids love it when my son comes in wearing his crazy boots every week. And those are my kids, yes. I know. I figured that would kind of.
No, I do because I last week he didn't wear his boots.
Yeah,
I said, your wife wears his boots. She said, oh, it's not boot day.
It's not every day.
Yeah.
So, and let me tell you, with the boots come the costumes. So he's obsessed with Batman right now. I would say every hour of the week outside of church, he wears a Batman costume. He identifies as Batman. So it's everything we can to not get him, like, we tell him, no, you have to wear real clothes to church. That's the only place you have to wear real clothes. All I'm asking you guys to do is, aside from your wonderful greeting, is to maybe start giving people an extra quick scan. And literally that's all it is a quick scan. So visual weapon screening techniques have been used to recover thousands of firearms and other weapons and have averted a number of planned weapons assaults. Visual screening is an inexpensive and effective means of detecting weapons. It's not a theoretical concept, but a proven technique tested under difficult field conditions. So weapons violators come from all backgrounds. Studies indicate there's no reliable profile. So if you think you have a picture in your head of what this person will look like, you don't, because it could be anyone. People who carry or use weapons unlawfully are white, Latino, Asian, any other race or ethnicity. They are male and female. They wear expensive clothing, including tailored suits, and they are from all socioeconomic classes. A weapons violator may be a high school dropout, or, as we've seen in several university shootings, may have a PhD or be working on one. The violator may at first glance look like anyone else because there's no reliable or viable profile. In fact, relying on this method can be dangerous. What is consistent about those who carry a weapon unlawfully, particularly a firearm, is the presence of certain physical behaviors, and that's what we're going to talk about. In short, individuals who carry a gun do specific things that we can observe because of the presence of the gun on their person. Rather than relying on ineffective and, in our country at least, illegal methods like profiling, you should focus your attention on the specific behaviors that indicate the presence of a weapon. All right, so some behaviors. Visual weapons screening is a valuable tool that helps officers when other security concerns are not present. Individuals deserve closer observation and, when appropriate, a lawful physical search. In some cases, the indicator may be rather weak and will be observed when people are not armed. For example, the sag of a jacket on one side of the body. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. In other instances, such as when the muzzle of a shotgun can be seen protruding from under a trench coat, we know that that individual is carrying a firearm. So I don't know if any of you guys, it was probably about a month or two ago, I think, there was a shooting in New York City. It was a gentleman that had an AR-15, and he walked into a building. It was the building that headquartered the NFL, and there were some other businesses in there. I think he ended up going to the wrong area that he wanted to go to. But there's surveillance video from outside this building. Now, you're talking about middle of New York City. There's a pretty good wide open square, streets and everything. Watching the surveillance video, he literally walks across the street and across this huge courtyard toward the building, and he makes no attempt at concealing the weapon. I mean, he's got a gun that's this long, and he's literally just carrying it in his hands, and he walks. And if you look at the people around him, nobody even notices. Nobody bats an eyelash. Nobody says anything. You don't see people running away. It's almost like not one person in the crowd had any idea that he was walking out in the open. It's scary to think about. That's how people literally exist in different phases of we use the word hypervigilance, but vigilance basically, to where you're vigilant about your surroundings. So a lot of people nowadays, they walk with their cell phone out. They're totally engrossed in that. They're listening to music. They're laser beam focused. Nobody's paying attention to anything. But the fact that this guy literally walked through this crowd of people like that with a gun out that was the thing from that shooting that stood out the most to me.
The fact that it's New York and they don't really have an open carry laws there, but like here, you kind of gets into the thing like, so if you want to walk around with your rifle, even though it's going to scare the bejeebus out of everybody, it's your right to do so. So should you get a cost for walking around with a rifle just because everybody else is scared about it?
So yes, we do have open carry here, and I don't ever advise anybody to do that, because if you open carry, essentially you're saying, hey, everybody, look at me, I have a gun. So you're not only are you scaring people, and people are going to call the police 100% of the time, because we go out to them all the time. You're also saying, hey, if there's a bad guy around over here, all you got to do is hit me in the back of the head, and now you have a free gun. So there's lots of stuff to that. But would you consider it normal behavior for a man with a rifle to get out of a car in this parking lot and walk towards the entrance of the church? And would you say that he is just exercising his right to open carry? Probably not. Number one, it's private property. So that law is in effect in public, but on private property where firearms are prohibited, i.e. churches, schools, that kind of thing, you do not have the right to open carry.
Firearms are allowed at churches. Unless they say you cannot. I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to make sure I have the right information.
Yeah. Concealed firearms, if you have the proper concealment, they haven't passed everybody can conceal yet. I think the governor vetoed it. But out in the open firearms, any church is going to immediately lock down and call 911. I just say that to say, if you guys see somebody walking across the parking lot with an AR-15 in their hand, that's a clue.
Right. I'm not disputing one bit.
No, I know what you're saying. I get it. I don't want anybody to have the attitude that, oh, he can do that. It's North Carolina. I'm sure he's fine. He just wants to show everybody his gun. Yeah, that's. All right.
I'm going to say, look, so my thing is that, yes, someone should have noticed that guy walking through that and been a little bit more aware and kind of been in a better defensive posture. But to instantly freak out, I mean, potentially they're allowed to. But
Well, New York has some of the if not
that's
the
the
strictest
separate
gun
reason
laws
New York is
in
not, correct.
in the country. So when you take those kind of situations into effect, we take the totality of the circumstances. So you're not reading a law in black and white saying, okay, this is totally legal. There's a lot of other factors. You know, what if he's walking and he has a ski mask on? Does that change things? What if he's, got bandoliers of extra magazines across his chest? He looks like Rambo and he's walking toward the front of a church. There's a lot that goes into it. Just to be able to say, well, that's legal, that's a black and white response. There's a lot of shades of gray.
Right. No, I'm not saying you then just ignore it. I mean, but yeah, the fact that they just let it happen and nobody took notice to kind of be a little bit more aware.
I'm not even saying somebody had to do something like tackle him. I'm saying you didn't even see anybody like notice it and like say, wow, this is weird. Maybe I should start going the other way quickly. So.
Nate, don't you think that's kind of like the culture of New York, though? I mean, when you're walking,
Yeah, yeah.
they tell you not to look at anybody, not to make eye contact. Whereas here, we're taught from a culture point of view is to be very.
You greet people, yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying. We should be observant of people's behavior. What they're doing.
Like that light rail a few weeks ago, everybody was in their own little
Yeah, they were.
victim. She was in earbuds and everything, and she was just like what you're talking about with New York. People didn't care till like, what, 15, 30 seconds later, she's already bleeding to death on the thing or whatever. People, it's like, it's happening everywhere, but everybody's got devices and things and stuff.
Too many people's just normal routines they're living in the time.
Yeah, 100%. So we use a scale. I'll get to you in just a second. We use a scale for basically vigilance, and it goes white, yellow. Oh, there's a different one. White, yellow, orange, red, black. Okay, white is essentially where all those people were. White is you are in your own space. You are just absolutely engrossed in what you're doing, and you have no awareness of what's going on around you. Yellow, slightly heightened. Maybe you're looking around a little bit. You're paying attention to what's going on all the time. Orange, slightly increased blood flow in your body. Heart rate gets up a little bit. You're really like checked into what you're doing, really focused on everything around you. Red, you're like something bad is happening and your body's going through a lot of physiological changes. And black is the opposite of white. Black is you are so overwhelmed that essentially your body shuts down. These are where a traumatic situation happens, you see it happen, and I call it you vapor lock. Basically, your body shuts down, and these are the people that when something starts, like say they're around when a shooter starts, these are the people that literally just drop to the ground and act like they've been hit even when they haven't. They don't try and run away. They don't try and fight. They don't try and solve a problem. They just turn everything off, and some pass out, some void their bowels. It's really weird. I mean, we're talking about a heart rate that's up near 190 at this point. You're having trouble breathing. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But everybody on that light rail was in white. And even after the stabbing happened, I didn't see too much as far as an elevation in anybody, which is really weird. The fact that nobody would try and help her afterwards is really off-putting to me. You don't have to necessarily, if you don't want to fight with a crazy guy and a knife, that's your business. But when you don't want to help somebody that is very obviously bleeding to death and you're not in danger anymore, that's something totally different. That's indifference.
Well, and then even the people sitting around her, you saw the video of the guy walking away with blood dripping from the knife, and probably his hands, he probably cut himself. That much blood is probably someone with his hand anyway. And you saw the people you notice a guy walking by and you trail of blood going by, and everybody's just like completely.
It's that attitude of don't get involved.
Yeah, my husband and I were talking about it, and, we would have done something, not just sit there, I mean, that was just awful. Nobody helped, that's the society we live in.
Yeah, and just to help you all out, if you're in positions like that, some stuff to do to maybe prevent being a victim like that. I don't ever like to sit to where people are behind me. So if you can sit your back to a wall, to a window, just something to where, if you're in an unknown space and it's not people you know behind you. She doesn't look like she's going to do something to you right now, but there's no profile.
And to think a judge let that guy go.
Like
Previously.
13 times.
Yeah.
We won't get it. That's a whole new topic. Mecklenburg County. We call it the great, in North Carolina, if you're in law enforcement, we're called the great state of Mecklenburg here because Mecklenburg County does different than the rest. There's 100 counties in North Carolina. 99 of them operate on similar. Wake County's a little like us too, but Meck County is just a whole different rule book. I mean, I've gone through so much rage in my career at things that have not been prosecuted by district attorneys and judges and stuff that I don't even get upset about it anymore. It's not worth wasting my energy. But I really think that a lot of us hope that this maybe starts some reform in Mecklenburg County. So, yeah.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
New York, which I didn't understand. My daughter used to live up there, and I got a concealed carry, and I put a gun in the car when I go, but you're not even supposed to drive it.
No, they'll hammer you up there even if you have a concealed carry. They'll hammer you up there even if you, yeah, they're not reciprocal to anywhere.
No. And Maryland's the same way, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is so weird because they have a lot of gun crime in New York and Maryland. So,
But if you're not even supposed to have a gun unless it's licensed or something, and here this guy's walking with an AR down the street, nobody even dials 911. I don't get it.
the whole thing with the licensing and the permits and stuff and the bans of guns, do you think that bad guys that use these guns on other people, do you think they take the time to license their weapons, to go through concealed carry classes, to follow gun?
And then some
Murder's
states
illegal too.
release that, too.
Yeah. Murder's illegal. They don't follow that law, so.
We got going over at Whole Foods, they got a no guns allowed sign.
If you have a concealed carry permit, I don't ever tell people, I'll deny this even though it's on film, Steve. If you conceal correctly, nobody's ever going to know that you have a gun on you unless you have to use it. And if you have to use it and you save your life or somebody else's, you're going to face maybe a misdemeanor charge of carrying concealed in a location prohibited. Is it worth getting a misdemeanor charge for saving someone's life? That's the only way somebody should know you have a gun. So
the not permit, so private property, right? They can put a little sign that says.
no guns allowed, yeah.
But that's not a law, that's their choice. So.
No, it does become, so the law for concealed carry says, it lists the locations, state capitals, schools, all that.
Right.
And it also lists or where prohibited by sign, which is private property if it's posted. Now, technically, it has to be posted on every entry, exit. Go ahead, Mitch.
And just to make you all aware, some of you may have noticed that we don't have a no firearms allowed on the front. David asked me about that when I came on staff sometime back. He said, "What's your take on it?" I said, "No signs." I said, "Let me tell you, the only people that's gonna go by that are the good guys. They're gonna go take their guns back in the car. The bad guys can care less." So he said, "I agree with you 100%. So that's why we don't have a sign up.
So we've got a lot of hotels in Pineville, and most hotels have no firearms allowed on premises. Just about every night, groups of teenagers rove through Pineville and break into cars at hotels. And they have about a 60% chance of finding a gun, sometimes multiple guns, in cars because good guys follow the rules and they put their gun in their car at night. The car gets broken into, the gun gets taken, and we're just giving free guns to bad guys. So,
give us some more things to look for.
yep, that's where somehow we got sidetracked before I even started. All right, one of the most important concepts of visual weapons screening is behavior clusters. So, for example, an individual who fails to swing his right arm may be armed and tried to avoid hitting their elbow on their weapon. But an individual who adjusts something under his clothing above the waistline, that looks around nervously and then walks away while not swinging his right arm, that's a cluster. So that's like 3 indicators right there. And we'll talk more about each one. When he spots an officer watching him, is far more likely to be armed. The totality of the circumstances will dictate the degree of likelihood an individual being armed. So learn to recognize these behaviors. All right, so number 1, you got a security check. Gun violators in particular will typically touch and or adjust weapons concealed on their bodies numerous times a day. This one, I find myself doing it sometimes even though I'm conscious of it. We've got these cool little red guns. This is not a real gun. It's made of rubber. It's a training tool. It does not shoot any projectiles. So a lot of people carry what we call an appendix carry right here. All right, you've got a t-shirt or a shirt draped over it. You wouldn't believe how many times a day unconsciously you'll just kind of do this to make sure it's in the right spot. You move around a little bit, it works its way over. You just kind of outside the shirt, you don't reach under, you just outside the shirt, you just kind of touch it. Now, you would not believe how many times if you see a cop or you're coming to a security check, people will, for whatever reason, if they're doing wrong and they have a weapon, they will literally tell you where it is. They will put their hand on it. So say I'm walking up to a security checkpoint and I'm like, oh no, they've got wands, they're gonna find my gun. This is not gonna be good. What should I do? Should I go away? And literally this right here, just subconsciously, I'm concealing it a little better right now. You know, like this is my way of shielding it. Like you can't see it because my hand's over the top, even though it's under a shirt. So when you guys make eye contact with people coming in, this is more for, we're not looking for regulars if they have a gun concealed. We're looking for somebody you've never seen before coming in the door, and you make eye contact and you say, hey, welcome to the church. And they go like this, thank you. That's a clue. Yeah, that's a clue. And they'll do it without even thinking about it. I mean, and like I said, I do it myself, and I know not to do it, but it just, you do it. Unnatural gait, that's another one. So this is more so if they're carrying a long gun. So they're saying that the Charlie Kirk shooter, you know, he had that rifle. They're saying that they've got video of him going across the campus and he's walking with a limp, like a straight leg limp like this. Well, guess where the gun was? It was down his pants, down his leg. So he's, you know, doing this. That's a clue. If you see somebody come in and everything looks normal, and I mean, granted, people have prosthetics. Most of the time you can kind of, and plus prosthetics are really good now. They bend at joints and everything. People with prosthetics generally don't, you know, walk with a straight leg. And sometimes they don't even try and conceal it. Sometimes it's a shotgun and just, they got a trench coat on and just the barrel, bottom of the barrel sticking out. And they, you know, so that's another thing to look for is an unusual gait. Do they look like they're walking funny, but everything else seems about normal? Yeah, that might be a clue. Hunchback stride, when carrying a concealed shotgun rifle or submachine gun under a coat, the butt of the weapon will often cause a noticeable bulge behind the armpit. Additionally, the jacket does move naturally because it is supported by the outline of the weapon. Doesn't move naturally. Also, when someone wears a shoulder holster or straps, so this is kind of old school. Not a lot of people carry shoulder holsters anymore, or now a slinged rifle could be. But if I'm carrying a slinged rifle and it's right here and I'm wearing a jacket over it, one thing I'm probably doing is pinning this arm when I walk in. So this goes back to like not swinging the arms. So most people when they walk, they've got a natural, nothing like what I just did. I can't do a natural stride when I'm trying to. But if you see somebody coming in and the one arm is pinned to their body, it could be them either covering a weapon, doing that unconscious thing. It could be that the weapon's maybe loose and they don't want it to swing. So if they're swinging one arm and pinning one arm, just another thing to look for. Again, none of these things by themselves are necessarily 100% indicators, but you have to look at other stuff. Bulges or outlines of the weapon, that's an easy one. That's a fairly easy one. If this gun is here and it's not concealed really well, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, this is going to be sticking out. Now, think of another reason why somebody would have a bulge come to a point right there. Can you guys think of anything else?
They have a urostomy or colostomy.
But is it going to be this far off the body?
Of course, if you're diabetic, you have
Have any of y'all ever looked at somebody like a man wearing a t-shirt and seeing an unnatural around the waistline? Anything coming out? I used to see a lot of cell phones when people wore cell phone holsters on their belt. You'd see that sometimes, and you could tell if they bent over how it printed that, it silhouetted it. So just something else to look for. Palming is another one with an edged weapon. I don't have any fake edged weapons. I can use this. If they're coming in with a knife or something like that, a lot of times if they're getting ready to use it, they will have it pinned in the palm of their hand like that, because it's a natural thing just to be able to go like that and get stabby. But if you see this type of thing, and they can't conceal all of it, it may be kind of a little further up underneath a shirt or something, but that's more for like probably if they've made it past everybody else and they're in the church. Just an indicator. Got a little more. Talked about altered stride.
and then you're gonna tell us what to do if we see that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. We talked about restricted arm swing, belt or pants adjustments. Most legal and illegally carried firearms are positioned on the waistline. That's kind of the go-to these days. With legally carried firearms in a holster and illegal ones tucked into a belt, when a person sits, stands, or exits a car with the gun on their belt, they may adjust the belt to accommodate the gun shift. So this is a big one. I do it too. You're sitting in your car, you get out, the first thing you do is what? Hike up your pants a little bit. Well, if you're wearing a gun, you're going to cup under the gun and bring that up with it, because otherwise you'll hike pants and the gun will still sag. Same thing, if somebody walks in and you see them maybe doing a lot of hiking in the same position, and they're not doing it all the way around, could be an indicator. Repositioning the gun, so the weight of a gun is guns are pretty heavy. These are not as heavy as a real gun. They're close-ish. Let me grab the other one. This one's a little heavier. So this is something to look for. And I don't know if this jacket's going to be light enough, but can you tell this side hangs lower? So that's another big one. They're wearing a jacket, and a gun is heavy. So a gun would be about twice the weight of this one. So it's probably going to hang even lower like that. That is, the weight of a gun is significant enough to pull almost any jacket down. That's another indicator. You see somebody come in and their jacket's very off kilter, and one side is really, most people balance out their pockets. People don't like to have this going on, so if it's a phone and keys or something like that, or a wallet, they'll put one in the other to kind of balance it out. But a gun will really make one way down one side. Now, couple that with it's 89 degrees out and they're coming in with the jacket and one side sagging. I would say everybody's spidey senses should be tingling a little more, because those are indicators, totality of the circumstance. They come in wearing sunglasses into church. Another big one, trying to conceal their eyes. A lot of people are not good at lying to people when you look them in the eyes. Are you guys kind of taught to look people in the eyes? It's good practice. Smile, look them in the eyes. Normal people that aren't trying to hide something or are not getting ready to do bad have a hard time not responding with a smile and a look into the eyes. So you look at me, greet me when you come in, you give me a big smile and hi. And I look up and go, hi. Not saying that they're up to no good. They could just, not be really good at socializing, that kind of thing. But most people will react in kind. They'll react kind of how you did it in the first place. Hats are another one. Hats that don't necessarily fit the weather, that aren't appropriate for the weather, stocking caps. Obviously masks are, I'm not talking about like the little COVID masks. I'm talking about like, yeah, and especially if you see somebody in the parking lot. Go ahead, what are you saying?
That was a Batman mask.
Oh yeah, Batman. That's a good one. So we talked a little bit about printing, hiding it under a shirt, adjusting clothing. Here's another one, body orientation or blading. So another one is people think, then this is just instinctively, this is not consciously, say there's a police officer over there and I'm carrying a gun here and I know that I'm not supposed to be and I'm getting ready to do something. A lot of times they will blade their body away from where danger is. So they think that maybe putting this distance between them and, you know, it's going to somehow conceal that gun better. So you'll see them blade. Also, like if you're about to do something, I know we get into a position, we may be talking to somebody and then they do, their behavior changes and it looks like they're going to fight. We will blade to put our weapon as far away from them as we can, because if they're going for our weapon, we want to make it difficult. So that's blading. So if you see somebody, maybe they're sweating in church, it's not hot. Eyes are darting, that's another one. Look for eyes darting. When I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're almost done too, by the way. And then I'll take some more questions. But the blading of the body is another one. Let's talk about some physiological ones here. Scanning, so constantly looking around. This is more so, they've probably made it in the door, okay, and maybe they're just milling around. You see a guy that you don't recognize or a girl that you don't recognize, and she's standing kind of over in the corner and she's doing this. But she's doing it excessively, right? You know, everybody looks around a little bit. It seems like all they're focused on right now is looking. Well, they're scanning. They're looking for threats to them. They're looking for possible authorities. They're looking for maybe exits, entryways. Maybe they're looking to select the area they want to attack. Their head is racing. They're all that. You know, these are things that maybe they're doing without even knowing it. It's not like they're saying, hey, I'm going to go into scanning mode now and start doing it. I mean, they're just doing it because they're looking. Adrenaline shake, this is another one. This is generally right before maybe an attack comes. You get a surge of adrenaline, or they get a surge of adrenaline, and you may look at somebody and they're literally just shaking. You know, these are things that raise your heart rate, make your body react to it. Involuntary facial cues may include sweating, a red face, bulging veins, a lot of blinking. How many of you guys, when you get nervous, your mouth gets dry and you start licking your lips? Another one. A distant, unresponsive stare, so a gaze, we call this like a deer in headlights, where they're just kind of locked out and just staring straight ahead. And these are all things that are caused by elevations in blood pressure. These are things your body just does when it's, you know, most people are not happy about. I mean, they may be a little bit, but a lot of this stuff, if they're getting ready to commit murder, especially in a church, there's going to be signs by looking at them. And honestly, you don't have to be an expert to see them. They're going to be pretty obvious. Most people are not just cool as a cucumber before they commit murder. There are people like that, CEOs, sorry. Arms in a semi-defensive position, like this, or kind of like this, even if they're not going to, you know, hand-to-hand fight somebody. This is just a position of defense. Maybe the hands go up just before they do something. Target glance, prior to reaching for a weapon or striking someone, a person will quickly look at that spot for just a second before the act. It is done to orient the body to the action performed or assess and evaluate the action to be performed. So it may just be real quick. One thing we notice, or one thing that we deal with a lot, is when people are about to run, they will generally let you know they're about to run from us because they will look for their route of escape. So maybe there's 3 of us. There's one here, one here, one here. We're talking to a guy and like, hey man, you got warrants, you're under arrest. And he goes like this. What do you think he's doing? It's like, what direction, which cop is the fattest? Which one is the slowest? Which direction am I going to run in, before I go? And eventually you learn to see that, and, we'll close the space real quick at that point. But that's another thing to, just before they're getting ready to attack, number 1, they're scouting target. Number 2, they're looking for their route of escape. Because as much as we want to believe these people are going to die, most of them will want to get away. Even if it's only for a little while, they'll try and escape. Avoidance or evasive maneuvers, that's another one where they just don't, say you guys go up to them, you notice a new person comes in, you guys sometimes offer them like a welcome kit, or you'll go up and try and talk to them, maybe give them some information about the church, and they just seem completely disinterested. Bless you. They seem completely disinterested to you. That's kind of an indicator. If you walk up to them and they're like, I'm okay. No, that's all right. No, thank you. Like, kind of weird. You come to a church, but you don't want to actually talk to anybody. Again, none of this stuff in itself maybe is an indicator, but you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. All right, let's just do some free talk here for a second. I know that was a ton to absorb. Tell me some of the indicators that maybe physically we're looking for when we look out, we see people walking.
We're gonna be looking around them, as they get ready to come in the door. Like you said, they may have their hand at their side, they may have a bulge somewhere.
They may be looking for where we have a good scenario here where there's generally 2 or 3 uniformed police officers at the door. They're a good deterrent because, a lot, like I said, yeah, and like I said, a lot of these people don't want to die. They're cowards. They want to kill people and survive. They're cowards. So when they, I like the big dudes part. Yeah, you're right. We do have big dudes. But, first thing they're looking for is survival. So they're walking towards the door. Maybe they're looking around. Oh, shit, there's cops. Okay. Scanning. So that's a good one. Maybe bulges. What else?
Lack of eye contact, like especially if we're looking at someone and they look away, look down, that would be.
Have you noticed that before?
Yeah.
And I've had somebody say no, thank you.
Rarely. There is a guy that comes in there every single Sunday, doesn't speak to anybody. He's got long
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and I've talked to other people about it. Keep in mind, but essentially has the same behavior every week. Sits over there, he gets up
Yep.
and leaves every single week. So
Yep.
I think it's the first one out of the church. So I guess what you're telling us, from our hospitality side, we tell that we want to make eye contact and greet every single person who comes in and to be aware. So
Absolutely.
you're just telling us to take the observant one more level up.
Exactly.
And so when we do see someone who kind of triggers something like this may not be right, I think the next step for us would be find somebody in security.
Find somebody in security.
We saw this, not saying anything, but they just took something off. You might want to keep an eye out.
And if you can, yeah, absolutely. And I'm not asking you guys to go all kung fu on them and save the day, but look for security. And I don't want to say don't go to one of the officers, but the officers aren't really on the same wavelength. They're more of a deterrent. They're not actively trying to, and they don't know the people like you do. They know a lot of people here, but they don't know the people like you do and like we do. So find security. Try and keep an eye on where they go as you're doing that. Like if they've come by you and they've alerted some things, some red flags went up. You're walking over, watch where they sit. Try and remember like a description. race, sex, and clothing descriptions. Simple. It's the guy over there wearing the white hat and the yellow pullover. You know, just something simple so that we can spot him, and then just say what you saw. Hey, he wouldn't make eye contact. He looked down. Maybe I saw a bulge in his waistband. He just didn't seem like he was really wanting to connect with anybody. Just walked straight to a seat with his head down. You know, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be nothing. And we're not harming anyone. We're not making it uncomfortable for anybody by just watching that person a little bit longer. You know, a few weeks ago, I saw somebody that just kind of threw up some strange behavior, and I walked to the back of the church and I just sat down and I just watched for 5 minutes, and I determined, no, he seems okay. Walked away.
Do we have, with the security, are you guys posted in like all the different corners?
Normally, yes, it all depends on who all shows up, how many we have
Okay.
show up.
But you
Because
have
I'm thinking-
lanterns, right? You
Yeah,
have
we
lanterns.
yellow or black that say security.
Okay.
They'll have
Well, I'm
mobile
just-
radios, and they have contact, the police officers have a radio as well as the EMTs.
And you'll see they'll be wearing an earbud or something to listen to the radio.
I'm just thinking, you may not be able to get to the door to say, I mean, they may have gotten in and then you watched them a while and went, ooh,
So
something's going on.
if they get in, chances are they're not going to do something immediately.
Right.
If they get in, they want to get a lay of the land first, scope out the place, and so the ones you need to worry about at the door are the ones that are like gun is out in the parking lot,
Yeah.
coming for the door. Those are immediate danger. Scream for security,
Yeah.
or in that case, scream for police.
Yeah.
Those are
I'm
the
just thinking our guys are all at the front door.
our guys.
Yeah.
No, well, so there's usually only 1, 2, maybe 3 in the front. If Andrew's here, he's always standing right there with you guys. He's doing the same thing. It's like another set of eyes. Though generally always be somebody at that door posted. Most of the time somebody at the back door over there. And depending on how many people we have, there'll be one on the cameras. And if I'm here, I usually just kind of rove wherever.
I'm just thinking we might need them someplace immediately in this area, not just the front door, and you can't get to the front door.
Yeah, totally. And just look, like I said, we're all aware and plus you've kind of gotten to know who to look for.
Right.
I think I would say, for our hospitality people, one of the checklists when you come in, you get your assignments of where you're supposed to go. I think the other thing is to look around to see
There
where
you
the
go.
security people
Where's your closest security person going to be where you are?
Good point. The lanyards they wear yellow lanyards. That's an
Around their
indicator.
necks.
Does anybody have theirs with them?
Yeah.
A lanyard.
Yeah, let's do that.
You want to get one to show them? Thank you, Andrew.
Nick, in that scenario where you mentioned that somebody is, very nervously looking around, I mean, my instinct would be to go to them and say, is there anything I can help you with? You're looking for someone. Is that the right tact, or would it be better to talk to someone at security, say, I'm going to go talk to this person?
If you are comfortable doing that, and just to feel them out, that's a good thing to do, because you're talking, maybe you're de-escalating a little bit, but you're getting a feel. Like say you see them, and maybe they're throwing up some indicators, they're just kind of raising your spidey senses, and you go over and talk to them a little more. One out of two things is going to happen. You're either going to say, it's probably not as bad as I thought it was. They seem okay. Or, oh yeah, that guy is trouble.
So from a hospitality point of view, if you're comfortable approaching someone, do it. Have a conversation and find out what their name. If you're not comfortable with that, you might want to alert.
If you want eyes on you, like for sure, there you go.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Corey.
Hey, Tom Corey.
I mentioned Andrew back me up, but Andrew told me if you see somebody walking in from the parking lot, just yell, gun, gun, gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you see immediate threat, if you see a guy with a gun in the parking lot coming towards you, scream bloody murder. I mean, that is going to, the further we can keep him from the front doors, the better. And it's much easier to reduce casualties out in the parking lot than it is once he's in the doors.
So is this the yellow, is the yellow the thing?
Some guys have black, but yeah, for the most part,
A few have
it'll say security on it. And all of them will have some sort of radio in their ear. They'll probably be the only ones in here with like a radio in their ear. Go ahead, Mitch.
So some of you kind of know the mindset, and how our folks operate typically. So I'm always with David. My primary concern is to be with David Chadwick wherever he's on property. And if I can't be with him, then somebody else stands with him. Lots of different reasons for that. I won't go into it in depth. Sometimes I always give people space if they come up, and I'm always looking at people. The old cop thing, 32 years, I'm always looking where their eyes at, what they're doing, what they're
Hands.
doing with
Their hands.
facial expressions. They getting ready to grab David or whatever, and I stay close enough, and I see, well, okay, I don't feel like they're a threat. They get back enough to where I don't invade their space, because they may need a private moment with David. I understand that. But I'm also close enough, and sometimes you don't know these things happen. We had a lady sometime back, David preaches pretty much. He doesn't preach pretty much, he preaches the word, and he preaches what he feels, and he said some things here before election, or right after election. There's one lady she wasn't happy about it. And I watched her, Sean had watched her, and here she come at the end of the service. And usually that's when people try to get up with David, and I stay right with him, because sometimes I have to say, David, it's time. That's my cues, like, let's go. They've had enough time. Sometimes they just want to tell you all about all kind of stuff. That this guy's got to take the bathroom break, and he's got to get a break. But this lady come up, and she wasn't waiting for a guy that was sitting behind me to David minister to him. She got in front of us and started doing that number. But the second time she started doing that number, I got in between of her, and I told her, you better hit the road right now, lady. You're going to jail. And it will take but a second. I'm going to have an officer come arrest you. We have an agreement. And she looked at me. I said, you better listen to what I'm saying. Is all I can do to keep grabbing her, because I don't take things like that lightly. I'm real serious about keeping David safe, and y'all know that. I know you appreciate that about what we do. But we're always watching. When I'm sitting there, and these guys will tell you, almost if I scratch my head wrong, somebody's on the radio saying, what's going on, Mitch? But I'm looking, just like, because I have a different vantage point, and sometimes we have in the past, we've let one of our folks, you put the security tag up, go sit in this section or that section, and they got a radio. Sometimes we've had people, if somebody says, okay, something don't feel right about that guy or that gal, they'll go over and they'll go sit behind them close enough to where they kind of keep an eye on them, and hey, they're doing so and so or whatever. Because that's why we got those in-ear things. We're always listening, but all that's going on, and most of the time people don't know that we're doing that just to try to keep the flock safe. We keep David safe, of course. We keep everybody in the building
See, that's
safe.
encouraging. That's why I was asking, are you positioned in different places? So if we don't need you.
Sometimes we do, if we have enough people, we try. Sometimes, a lot of our people they'll come and sit one service, and then they'll work the next one. But everybody, they're always watching, and I always think sometimes people don't know what they're doing, just like me. If you thought, what in the world's Mitch doing?
Not even Mitch knows what he's doing sometimes.
So I've got all our HVAC systems on my computer that's run somewhere up there, and I'm adjusting all the time. I keep it on 70 degrees, winter and summer. Sometimes I have to readjust them because people will get in here and the temperature goes up or goes down. I have to readjust them. You would think, why is he on his cell phone? This is church. I always laugh because David knows exactly what I'm doing. But we're always doing something. We're always scanning, looking around. And I told Dave, my funny thing with David, he can come around and look at me sometimes. He knows I'm always looking. If I'm looking one particular direction, Andrew or Rusty or somebody said, what do you see over there? Or what's going on over there? So they're always looking. Now, not so we're going to catch everything, but you can thank David Chadwick and John Casey years ago that said, we want to do this, Mitch. Are you up for it, and so on and so forth. They're the ones that are so strong behind the police that there's no question about it. I hire 3 officers to work the front every week. The chances of something happening here But if they get through those three and they come in the door, there's gonna be gunfire, I can promise you that. We don't want that to happen, but, our folks are watching all the time. And that radio, I told David, they're pretty expensive radios. They're just like some of the ones that I used to carry when I was a cop. They're expensive, but buddy, they work. We can talk to people, tell them what's going on. Even the folks in the rooms, typically, they'll have a radio. Mitch, I need somebody in here, or the EMT. EMT, section A, we got somebody down. So they're always working, whether you think you see them do anything or not.
And can our child care rooms, are they lockable? Can they lock those doors?
Yes and no, and sometimes they don't work.
Okay.
When the good Lord allows us to get another building, I've tried to work on trying to get these doors to where wedges in them, but
Protect those kids.
we're getting there. Anyway, we're saying, sorry, I didn't mean to take.
No, it's okay.
So you're saying a lot of times these people come in and just check the layout, and then they might come back again?
Yeah, and that's possible too. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
they might,
Most people don't want to walk into just a totally new environment if they're going to do something like that. But yeah, they could be on a scouting trip. Those will be harder to spot. But because your body gives off way more involuntary clues if you're about to do something versus if you're just looking around. Mitch made a really good point when he's talking about hands. That's another thing you guys, now this is not the scenario where they're gun coming towards the door, but to my knowledge, no one has ever shot somebody with their hands visible and no gun in them. So we do this in law enforcement, watch their hands. They can't kill you if you can see their hands. So things that would really alert you if something bad was going to happen is you see your hands, you see their hands, now you don't see their hands. Maybe they come out with a cell phone, but like I said, this isn't just that action, but just watch people's hands. If you think like, oh my gosh, I can't get to security right now, something's about to happen, and let me find security, and just keep an eye on those hands. But
So again, if we see that, like I'm sitting in the front row and I see somebody do that, how do I alert the security?
just walk over it. Now, if you see them physically pulling a gun out, just scream gun.
Okay.
Because none of us are ever going to pull out a gun in church. And I sure hope that nobody else that's coming to church that's concealing lawfully is going to pull their gun out in church. So that's where you can't be loud enough. Just absolutely wail. And that's my biggest fear. The guy at the front is easier to deal with. It's the guy that slips into church and you don't know when it's going to happen. And for us, that's a nightmare scenario because God forbid if we had to take a shot, there's not a lot of good shots from when you have a background like this, like with people everywhere. But again, I appreciate it, guys, for coming. I know it was like trying to drink water through a fire hose. There was a lot there. But if I want you to take anything away, just be an extra set of eyes for us at the door. You guys all you may not have the razor sharp instincts like Mitch, but all of you guys have, you notice things. And let me tell you from experience, most of the time, if you think something just really seems off, trust your instinct. It probably is. Your body has weird ways of telling yourself that something is not right. Don't let it go to denial and say, oh, I'm sure it's fine. Just tell one of us. Even if it's just a subtle, hey, this guy over there's just giving me the wrong vibe. Kind of weird. Can you just watch him for a little bit? Yeah, no problem. None of us will ever say no, and it doesn't inconvenience us. That's what we're here for.
Can I just add one?
Absolutely.
We talk a lot about hospitality and making guests feel welcome, and I know you're not saying not to do that.
Yeah.
I think what you're asking us to do is, you talked about vigilance, is to be completely alert, and sometimes we forget, and we're very social, and that's a good thing, but when you are serving in a hospitality role, it's equally important to use those observational eyes and to be looking. We're not looking for somebody that has guns. We want to be aware if
You want to also notice if they do. And I wish that we were in a time like we used to be where the only thing you guys had to focus on was hospitality. When you could not have a care in the world other than greeting people and being nice to them. We're in a spot now, I think, where we're just asking you to also, on top of that hospitality, just maybe tune up your awareness just a little bit more. That's all we're asking. We're not asking you guys to be heroes and do anything dangerous. Just no tackling, preferably not. But an extra set of eyes just to assist security, and that's all we're saying.
That was very helpful, very helpful.
I didn't think it was, but thank you.
No, it's very helpful. We needed those snacks. Yeah, we did. That's good.
So exactly where in here is, there will always be a security person? Over here is-
Most of the time, there will always be one at that desk, but there will also always be at least one on the back of the church, and in that corner there. It just depends. Some days we get 8, 9 people that come in. You know, Andrew will tell you this, and we have an abundance of security. Other days, just it's skeleton crew.
If you're not aware, if you come in and check with me, I'll let you know where our security people are.
Yeah, Steve's up on it. He knows where we are.
Thank you so
So
much.
You're
folks,
welcome.
Really was helpful.
Again, we want to thank Nick. This is his time from away from his family. He don't get paid for this. His family, he's doing this to serve the body, because he's one of our members. And I'm very fortunate. You know, God puts people in paths for a reason, and the Lord knew that we needed Nick at this stage of the game. So we want to thank him incredibly for doing this. Before we excuse the folks on hospitality, I just want to make a quick announcement, and I may be asking for trouble when I do this. Actually, Nick's piled it on me this morning already, so. Myself, Rusty Mutchink, and Andrew are teaching a carry conceal class in 2 weeks, right in here. We have limited spaces kind of available. We've got probably 8 or 9 people that have signed up that are actually on staff or have a need that are on the security team or whatever. If that interests you, and I've got permission from Don, we don't charge anything to do that. We're certified North and South Carolina.
That's a good deal.
We don't charge you anything to do that. We want to see the body equipped as much as possible. If you want to attend that class, let Andrew know. I'm throwing it on Andrew now. Let Andrew know as soon as you can. It is an 8-hour class, and I've got to tell you ahead of time, sometimes it gets boring. But there's 3 of us that are alternated. Rusty's going to do most of the teaching. He teaches it every month at Valentine Range. I've taught it once. I'm certified North and South Carolina, and Andrew's going to work with us. He's qualifying to get his instructor certificate, but it won't cost you a nickel to do it. You got to be here for 8 hours. The state is North Carolina is so overreach. I'm not going to say any more about that. Did I say Democratic run? No, I didn't, did I? Anyway.
It's not.
I'm just, yeah, y'all thought I said that. We will do our best to get you in that class, but again, it's 8 hours, and you got to sit through it, but it's free, and you, at the conclusion of that, after we take you to a range, the only thing that'll cost you anything, I have a deal worked out with Carolina Sporting Arms that I rent it 4 times a year to run our security team through it. Our security team has to shoot an 88 or above. Nick, what's North Carolina's entry-level BLET?
80.
80. We require our security team to shoot higher than that to stay on the security team. Now, we give a little grace, too, as we're working through it. We got several on the team that are great firearms teachers and all that, much better than me. But if you want to take that class, let Andrew know very quickly, and we'll be glad to help you with that. It may be a few bucks for me to rent the range on a Saturday morning, be it from 8:15 to 9:15. And everybody's got to be there, and then we'd qualify you, and then we'll give you a certificate, and you can turn that in to, and actually Rusty or Andrew will tell you how to, especially here in Mecklenburg County, how to go after actually getting your carry concealed. That will enable you to do that, so. Other counties, it's a little easier. Mecklenburg County, as Nick alluded to, they kind of slow roll things purposely, unfortunately, because of the way this sheriff is, but
Yeah, our sheriff might actually be a
I
communist.
don't think we'll have to worry about him too much after election time, to be honest with you, but anyway, enough about that. Steve, will you come up and pray a prayer of blessing and protection on Nick?
Oh,
And
yeah.
if all the rest of you would just, you don't have to extend your hands, go ahead, Nick.
One more thing, for all the hospitality people that are here, no pressure on you, but now that Mitch has made that announcement, I expect every one of you in the concealed carry class. So, yeah, thank you. I'm just kidding.
I got it in Union County too.
Good man.
Get it in Mecklenburg County.
And again, we'll dismiss the folks from hospitality after this. We thank you so much for being here. So much is appreciated.
Yeah, I do appreciate y'all coming.
And,
Thank
yeah,
you.
because like I said, Nick,
You guys are now the tip of the spear for hospitality, so you can tell your other people that weren't here. They're not quite as.
They will after they watch this. Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for the love that you give us. And Father, after a week that we've experienced here in America, we just need you. We need you now more than ever. So, Father, we want to thank you for the time we've had the last hour or so with Nick. I thank you for him. I thank you for his heart. I thank you for his family. I pray for a hedge of protection over his life and his family. I thank you for his desire to protect and serve. But Father, I just thank you for the love that he has for you. And it's apparent in the words that he says. And I thank you for him. I thank you for his life. Father, as we go now, I pray that you help us to be vigilant, help us to be the disciples you called us to be, and to act in love. And sometimes love includes sharing truth. So, Father, help us to be the disciples you've called us to be. We thank you for men like Nick French who make our world safer. So I pray that you protect him, watch over him, and we're going to give you all the honor and glory and praise for all the wonderful things you do for us. It's in Christ's name we lift up this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve.
security team, come back in 5 minutes, and it won't be a long, drawn-out thing. We'll get started and get done.
Mitch, do you have the adapter that goes from USB-C
You know,
to
won't be used
USB-A?
Let me hunt for one.
Because